Attorney Nurlan Bisikeyev is not allowed to visit his client, the former head of Kazatomprom Mukhtar Jakishev, currently held in the detention ward of the National Security Committee to discuss the final draft of their appeal. Bisikeyev told the news agency Kostak that the inspector on duty refused to turn in, saying he did not recognize him. Bisikeyev intends to send a special complaint on the matter to the Attorney General, Chairman of Astana Court and National Security Committee. Jakishev's appeal is scheduled for review for June 25th. More than 50 graduates of the prestigious presidential program Bolashak did not return back to Kazakhstan. They prefer to stay abroad, say the administrators of the Center for International Programs in Astana. Moreover, the number of defectors increases every year. Meanwhile, on average, state spends from $10,000 to $50,000 on each scholarship holder. Now the fate of these students is being decided by the law enforcement agencies.
The knowledge of the state language is compulsory for the contenders of the presidential program Bolashak. This is one of the new and perhaps the key requirements for future scholars, said the program administrators on Monday in Astana, admitting that not all graduates returned from abroad. Apparently, over the past 5 years, 25 scholars have not returned to Kazakhstan, and now the law enforcement agencies are looking for them.
We don't know where they are and what are they doing.
The majority of Bolashak scholars prefer to study in Russia, the USA and Europe. They, however, complain that it is not easy to find a job in Kazakhstan even with diplomas of world's leading universities. Employers cut the number of vacancies, and therefore Bolashak alumni along with graduates of local universities are storming job fairs, and some even have to use services of labor exchanges. I studied at Manchester University majoring in linguistics and graduated this year. All this time I'm still looking for work. Since the crisis is still around, employers are not willing to hire us, especially those without experience. According to the contracts, graduates of the presidential program are required to work in Kazakhstan for at least 5 years. Despite the growth of the number of defectors, the state still increases the annual quota. This year, a little more than 1,000 applicants will be sent abroad. Organizers say the competition is expected to be tough and the selection will be made as transparent as possible. However, there is no guarantee for the set future of the applicants. Interestingly, 3 graduates of the last year's program are either convicted or awaiting trials.
On Monday, one of the 3 Kazakh GSM operators accused of collusion with Russian companies issued a refutation. On June 1st, Kazakh and Russian anti-monopoly authorities instigated legal proceedings against 6 operators for the alleged violation of the anti-monopoly legislation.
Kazakh telecommunication giant Kcell denies accusations of price collusion with Russian operators in the roaming market. On Monday, company representatives said that the information of Competition Protection Agency is questionable at best.
Unfortunately, our company has no effective tools to lower the roaming costs.
According to Sargaskaev, the company's specialists are under constant pressure from the management to maximize the reductions of rate. As an example, he cited the situation of last year and 20 roaming agreements with different countries. Unfortunately, this is not an argument for the anti-monopoly agencies of Kazakhstan and Russia.
Adequate measures will be taken if some confirmed violations will be found during the summarizing of results.
6 operators are being currently investigated, 3 of Kazakh and 3 of Russia. They are accused of collusion in establishing and maintaining high roaming rates, as well as setting the 1-minute charging pitch.
A criminal case has been instigated and the agency is trying to find out whether there were some violations or not.
In spring, the Competition Protection Agency proposed Kazakh operators to reduce prices and introduce per-second rates. The companies ignored the offer, referring to the lack of necessary arrangements. Later, Russian companies followed the same path. Now both will have to provide explanations in court.
The mass death of saiga antelopes on the west of Kazakhstan was preceded by a strange, almost mythical phenomenon, say local farmers and game wardens. However, the regional authorities are trying to conceal any information on the matter and blame everything on the infection called pasteurellosis.
According to local hunters and game wardens, at least another 5,000 saiga antelopes died in the Zhanibek area of the West Kazakhstan region, as opposed to the official number of 12,000. People here do not trust the official cause of death of the rare animal as well. Residents of the region believe the problems were caused by the strange maize that came from the southwest. Katipa Iskakova remembers that day well. On that day, my mother was sick because of the high blood pressure, something she never complained of before. We even had to call an ambulance. All neighbors had a headache on that day. There is a hollow 150 kilometers from the village. A thick mist of unusual color appeared there seeming from nowhere on the night of May 16th, when a pack of young and female antelopes were grazing there. The stationed nearby game wardens admit that they have never seen anything like this before. On the next day, they found 80 carcasses of dead taiga in the area. This number was growing with each new day, soon reaching 12,000. Game wardens believe all dead animals spent the fateful night in the hollow.
We called a vet to find out whether this disease is contagious and can be transmitted to humans to shield our inspectors. The initial conclusion was that it was not an infectious disease and just some sort of poisoning.
Nurlan Tajagaliyev recalls the appearance of a similar mist in 2003. He read about it in the article of a local newspaper which talked about 60 people brought to hospital with poisoning, who blamed the strange mist. Luckily, this time no human casualties were reported.
Several animals died after the 25th. It was not an outbreak, just 6 dead animals with the suspicion of pasteurollosis.
Local authorities avoid talking about the nature of the mist in front of the cameras. Off the record, they refer to the order of the regional administration, which threatened dismissals for possible leaks. Those unaffected by intimidations implied that the answer should be sought to the testing ground Kapustin Yar near the border between Russia and Kazakhstan.
On June 7th, the memory of independent journalist Batyrkhan Darimbetov was honored in Almaty. Exactly 5 years ago, he was killed in a car accident. The wake was attended mostly by representatives of the civil sector.
The wake for the journalist Batyrkhan Darimbetov, who died 5 years ago, was attended by about 30 people, including family, friends, colleagues and representatives of opposition parties and unions. Batyrkhan is remembered as a talented reporter who fought for the freedom of speech in Kazakhstan. According to colleagues and associates, he had a keen sense of justice, calling for the building of a civil society in each of his stories.
In his works, he drew particular attention to the development of national culture and spiritual growth. Some people liked his ideas and some did not. We knew him well for the common fight for building a democratic society.
Being an editor of the newspaper Azat and reporter of Radio Azatik, Batyrkhan Darimbetov led an active political life and was a member of the Presidium of the Democratic Union for Just Kazakhstan. The tragedy which took the life of the journalist occurred on the night of June 1st on the highway Almaty-Taraz, when the reporter ended up in a lethal car accident and died 5 years later despite the old doctor's efforts. We do believe it was an accident, although there are still some doubts. The wake was held at the headquarters of the unregistered party Alga, the leadership of which provides support to the widow of the journalist. Each year, party members mark both the day of death and birthday of Batyrkhan Darimbetov.
These were all the latest updates from Kazakhstan. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.